My new intro, guys. All my life, grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle, pay the price, want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Rest in peace to my man Nipsey Hussle. Love that song. Has a lot of meaning to me. You know what I mean? So with that being the case, let's get down to what it is that I want to get into today. Let's talk about how we've been misled into believing whatever it is that we've been given, and why we should question pretty much everything that has been established by modern society. Now, with that being the case, and with me saying that, let me preface this by saying that technology is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, I believe it's become a gift and a curse. You understand what I'm saying? It has taken us away from doing things that are natural, even down to the birth and the nurturing of the child, guys. Even down to the birth and nurturing of the child. The way that children are birthed into the world. Most of the children being birthed into the world in the hospital, in a foreign environment, in an environment with a lot of lights, an environment with a bunch of noise, maybe with all the people around, so to speak, with the woman laying flat on her back versus being standing. That's because we have been removed from being able to do things the natural way. Now, I'm not saying that birth in the hospital is not necessary sometimes in that way, but that's not natural, guys, and it leads to a lot of other ailments along the way, especially in the relationship between the mother and the child, the parents and their children. You see in this day and age, in my opinion, you see a lot of discourse between the parents and the children, not just because of how they've been raised. It's not just because of what they've been taught as they got older, but from the mere fact of not breastfeeding your children, not allowing them to get that skin-to-skin time, with the mothers having to work, getting taken away from the baby early on. All these things naturally cause a conflict within the child. The child, and again, you might not want to hear it, but it's a fact, guys. The child needs to be among his mother pretty much 24 hours a day in order to really feel comfortable, in order to really get into that space of comfortableness. Remember, guys, it's been in the womb for most people 9 months. Then you come out and then you immediately detach it from the mother, not just in those first few hours, but throughout the first year and a half, 2 years of his life. The baby needs to be breastfed. I know you guys will say, well, that's just throwback, we ain't got time. All right, I understand, but breast milk is the natural milk for the baby, and it has a lot of properties that no animal milk or no synthetic milk can bring to the table that the baby needs. So we must realize that as well. We must question, why are things the way they are? We live in a fast-paced society, and we believe just because we've made such great advancement with our ability to fly, to drive cars, with our ability to build major living spaces, and our ability to be comfortable in a hot environment as far as the heat of the sun in the summer, and us to be comfortable in the winter in face of the cold, brutal of the winter. All these things are great. But at the same time, we're losing our focus on things that are natural. And again, a lot of the conflict, a lot of the anguish, a lot of the instability that you see within the youth, in my opinion, boils down to a lot of things. One of which, many of them have not had the proper time with the parent nurturing them from the natural way, as far as the breastfeeding, as far as the skin time, skin on skin when they're young, and they are very, when they're first 2, 3, 4 months of their being, so to speak. Definitely, guys, we must get back to nature and understand what nature is guiding us and how nature is bringing us into the right way in order to nurture a human being so that we can be more well-rounded. So again, subtle things like that make a big difference. And it's not just about what you learned and what you've been taught. It's about, again, understand how nature is designed to work when it comes to nurturing the human being and bringing them out into the society so he can or she can be a very positive asset to the society. Also, guys, we must understand that, again, when it comes down to a lot of the allergies, a lot of the gut issues, a lot of the disposals or the predispositions towards or the propensity towards certain illnesses or certain allergies and certain things, all that is tied to, again, the nutrition that the baby is given when they're young. We're giving children starchy foods while they're young, giving them things and carbohydrates when they're young, when they don't even have the enzymes developed in the mouth in order to digest that carbohydrate. With the carbohydrate, guys, the carbohydrate is first digested and broken down in the mouth from the enzymes of the molars that are in the back of the mouth. And those teeth don't come in for the child until later on. So just because the child is able to pick things up and put it in his mouth doesn't mean that he should be picking up and putting the carbohydrates that we're giving them in form of the baby foods and so forth, causing a lot of gastrointestinal issues at a young age, guys. So we must become aware of what it is that we are doing. We have to be smart, guys. We have to be detectives. Again, guys, don't believe that herbs are the end all be all. They're not. Herbs are great, and there are a ton of herbs that provide powerful nutrients and minerals to the body that the body needs, and it helps the body to heal itself. But the other part, and the most important part, is going to be the nutrition on the other end, what you're actually consuming as your food. You have to understand what that is and why we are consuming foods that are unnatural to the physiology, and why we're eating so frequently, why we're not practicing that which is natural to the physiology as far as fasting is concerned. We have to get in and we have to understand what it is that we're doing in order for us to correct what it is that we're doing. Again, we've been misled and led to believe that the things that we do just because we can do them, it's all right to do. It's all right to do until you can't do them anymore and you find yourself on a ton of medications that are only keeping you alive while killing you at the same time. That's a hell of a combination. Again, I'm not anti-medication in that sense. I'm anti-medication when it comes to long-term use of medication in order and not the use of lifestyle changes along with herbal solutions to help heal and correct the issue, not the treating of symptoms, but the curing of the disease. So medication, in the most part, is the treating of the symptoms. You still have the disease. It slows down the immediate effect of the disease, but while it is damaging other parts of the system, so it's a catch-22, tearing you apart on one end and slowly keeping you from dying on the other end while accelerating the destruction of your organs on one end. It's a hell of a mix that we're in. We're in a matrix, guys. We got to come out of that matrix, all right? And again, we have to be more smart. We have to be intelligent enough to know that it's more to what it is that we see, not being enamored by the glamorous things that we see, by the amazing things, the awestruck things that we see that technology has brought to us and allowed for us to do. Again, technology is a beautiful thing when understood and when in accord with nature. This is what we have to understand. This is what we have to do. Again, guys, let's be detectives. Let's question everything that we've been given, everything that we've been taught. I'm going to leave you with this, guys. This human physiology, this human biology, this human anatomy is a magnificent piece of very sophisticated work. This is a dynamic vehicle that we are riding in with transactions, with interactions, cellular, etc., molecular, going on at speeds that are You can't even fathom the speed at which they say that some of these things operate inside the body in order to keep us alive. But yet, you believe that we, or the God, if you are religious, or the supreme intelligence, if you are not necessarily religious, but you still believe that there's a higher being than yourself, that we will be put on this earth without the tools to be able to eat the food that is necessary and to sustain our lives. Meaning we had to get tools in order to consume the animal product, to catch the fish, but yet all we need is our bare hands to pick that veggie or pick those fruits. You tell me, guys, tools came along on down the line. So how did this physiology survive in the beginning states? It's just something to think about. Again, I'm not bashing you for eating your meat. You eat your meat, that's your thing, but study it and understand that it is not necessary for your survival, and it's not a natural food for this human anatomy or physiology. You know how I do with my words. I get tied up. That happens. Peace. Have a beautiful day.